Okay, it's 5 o'clock and I'm calling the regular board meeting of the Ross Valley Sanitary District of July 20th, 2022 to order. And may I have a roll call, please, Julia?
Yes, thank you. Borstein,
Yes, ma'am.
Gaffney,
Present.
Meggs,
Here.
Scylla. Sorry, Director Scylla.
Here.
Thank you. Kelly,
Yes.
thank you.
Excellent. I'll lead to the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Steve, do you have suggestions about the agenda? Do we have guests we wish to move things around for?
Looking in the virtual room here, and I do see folks that are here for the item number 10. If you wanted to move that up to a point in the agenda of your choice.
Okay, let's move 10 right after the oath of office, number 4. And with that, do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
I'll move the agenda as amended.
I'll
Thank
second.
you, Mary. And Michael, second, thank you. Open time for public to raise agenda item.
I'm sorry, President Kelly, may we please vote on the approval of agenda?
Oh, I'm so sorry. Thank you so much, Julia.
No
Yes,
problem.
we need to vote for the approval of the agenda. Roll call.
Thank you. Borstein,
Yes.
Gaffney,
Yes.
Meggs,
Yes.
Scylla,
Yes.
Kelly,
Yes,
unanimous. Thank you.
thank you. Open time for public to raise items not on the agenda. Not seeing any, but I'm going to go with this anyway. Anyone wishing to address the board of directors on matters within the district's jurisdiction, but not on the post agenda, may do so. Each speaker is limited to 3 minutes. The board may not take action or discuss items not on the agenda, but may briefly respond to statements or questions by a member of the public. The board president may refer any matter to staff for further follow-up or to elect to have the matter placed on an agenda in the future. Seeing none, I'm going to move on to administer the oath of office. What I'd like everybody to do, please, would for everybody to turn your cameras off, except the 2 people that are being given the oath, and that would be at this time, Julia reading it and Michael getting it. So if you could turn yours off, Pam and Kevin and Tom.
Who's first?
Director Borstein is first, Director Gaffney.
Okay. So
Do I turn it on or off my camera?
Off.
Mhm.
So nervous.
Okay, Director Borstein, please repeat after me. I, Michael Borstein, do solemnly swear or affirm
I, Michael Borstein, do solemnly swear or affirm
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California
that I will, that I will defend the Constitution of the United States and of California
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California,
to the Constitution of the United States and to the Constitution of California,
that I take this obligation freely
that I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion.
without any
Mental reservation
mental reservation
or purpose of evasion,
or purpose of evasion.
and that I will well
And I will
and faithfully discharge
faithfully discharge
the duties upon which I am about to enter.
the duties upon which I am about to enter.
Thank you, Director Borstein.
Oh my gosh, another 4 years. Thank you, everyone.
Director Gaffney,
Michael, you turn your, yep, thank you.
please repeat after me. I'll try and do less, so I'll try and be better the second time. I, Thomas E. Gaffney,
I, Thomas E. Gaffney,
do solemnly swear or affirm
do do solemnly swear
or affirm that I will support
or affirm that I will support
and defend the Constitution of the United States
and defend the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California
and the Constitution of the State of California
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the Constitution of the United States
to the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution for the State of California,
and the Constitution for the State of California,
that I take this obligation freely
that I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
and that I will well and faithfully
and that I will and faithfully
discharge the duties upon which I am about to enter.
discharge the duties upon which I am about to enter.
Thank you, Director Gaffney.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Here we go.
Pamela,
Yes, Doug.
your turn.
Okay,
Director Meggs, please repeat after me. I, Pamela Meggs,
I, Pamela Meigs,
do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear or affirm
that I will support and defend
that I will support and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California
and the Constitution of the State of California
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the Constitution of the United States
to the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of this for the State of California,
and the Constitution for the State of California,
that I take this obligation freely
that I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
and that I will well
and that I will well
and faithfully discharge the duties upon which I am about to enter.
and faithfully discharge the duties upon which I am about to enter.
Thank you, Director Mix.
Thank you. Yeehaw.
Thank you very much, all of you, and congratulations to the three new board members. Okay, let's move on to item number 10, consideration of authorizing the general manager upon review and approval of council to execute payment in the total amount of $178,589.12 to Quovo Solutions for the installation of Ricotta video surveillance, access control, alarm system, and guest management integrations at 1111 Anderson Drive. Steve.
Thank you, President Kelly. Item 10 is before the board for consideration of the services of video surveillance, access control, an alarm system, and guest management integrations at the new headquarters that is almost under construction at 1111 Anderson in San Rafael. And staff have been working for many months to look at security options. We were looking at Kerner facility originally, but then saw the wisdom of migrating this effort to the future headquarters, which, you know, the plan is to move there in January of next year, hopefully. And so as we looked at our security needs over there at the new facility, staff has done a lot of work to see with these different functions that we currently have multiple vendors taking care of at the Kerner facility, exploring options for efficiency and integration, and then finding out what what's available in the market today. And so I want to acknowledge the efforts of Paul Bromer, our Operation Maintenance Manager, but also Felicia Newhouse, our Assistant General Manager, has been working on this for years. And Courtney Buell has assisted on this latest effort to look at our options. And we're staff's recommending the selection of Quovo to use a Verkada system that can integrate these functions. And with that, I'd like to hand it over to Paul to provide his summary of why we feel like that's the right choice for the district. Paul?
Yeah, thank you everybody for your time tonight. We do have a guest speaker as we get through this a little bit more. Kevin from Verkada will explain some of the systems and whatnot, the operating systems. And as Steve mentioned, we did review 3 different vendors, and we're really looking for a one sole source solution due to some of the issues we've had with alarms and phone lines and direct monitoring of cameras and different contractors, which has really taken up some staff time to ensure it's all working properly and managed. And we found Verkada as a one-stop shop for everything from front of the house, the office, for guest services, guest management, alarm services for the staff at the front office to be able to have a panic button, direct line to police, which also ties into the cameras. So police and fire can see what's happening at the district real time. We really took some time with this project and found Verkada as the one wholesale system that can take care of it all: access control, alarm system, video surveillance, and guest management. If you guys would like, we do have Kevin on the line who can explain some more of the system and the hardware and how it works. If that's approved with everybody okay with that, and take a couple minutes. Kevin, if you have some time, please.
Absolutely. Let me share my screen here 1 second. And thank you very much for making some time with me, everybody. Is everybody looking at my presentation right now?
Yeah, we can see you, Kevin.
Cool. So I will breeze through this real quick. Apologies. Looks like started off in the wrong spot. Obviously, like everybody mentioned, Verkada, we've been working tirelessly to build an entire enterprise security system, a one-stop shop, so that customers like yourself do not have to deal with multiple vendors. And we've been able to do this by integrating our environmental sensors, which Ross Valley is going to use to make sure that the servers are always operating at high levels, video security, obviously, an alarm system that's going to integrate very well with this security system, guest management on the first floor, as well as access control. And really the way that this project came up, it had all started originally with just cameras until we started having this conversation about some of the other needs with the Ross Valley Sanitary District. One of the biggest ones being that the staff was going to be located up on the second floor, but when some of your constituents needed to come and pay bills or speak to anybody, they were going to be coming in on the first floor, and having a staff member down there or having a staff member having to go meet them down there was just a waste of time. We're extremely lonely. So we're able to use this guest software to have them log in on an iPad right there. It would print out a badge for them and they'd be able to get access into any necessary doors, including the elevator, to get up to that facility. Like Paul had mentioned, we also have some panic buttons up where the cash transactions are going to be taking place. This way, in case anything did ever go down, they would be able to simply hit those buttons, and that would send over to the police department, letting them know exactly what was going on, including the video security. So like they mentioned, we've been working on this for a couple of months now, and we do have a price increase that's coming up at the end of this month, which is why we're looking to get this actioned on before that, to try to avoid some of those disruptions here. Now, I don't want to waste your time going through all the ins and outs of this system, so I'll really open it up. If anybody has any questions or anything that you would like me to highlight or go over, I'm happy to do so.
Do we have any board questions? Tom?
No, I heard the presentation yesterday, and I think having this remote ability for the first floor actually saves us a staff position. I mean, we don't have to post somebody down there. And then we heard that all of the system is one vendor, and that we don't have multiple vendors, like when the staff explained when the telephone went out, they had to call the telephone, then they had to call the other vendors, and this way we've consolidated all to one.
Okay, Mary?
No, it makes sense to me. Doug, I was hoping you'd have a lot of questions because you're kind of a tech.
Yeah.
Well, I reviewed it, and I have to tell you, Mary, and I mentioned this to the Finance Committee, my company, which is extremely high-tech, did select Verkada for our office, and we've had it since. So I have it on my cell phone. If I need to get into the office after hours, I just start the app and touch it to a pad, and the door opens magically. I did say that we messed up our own program, and I think on the first holiday, my former partner and I were like, is this door gonna be locked tomorrow? And indeed it wasn't. It was a holiday. We forgot, it was Monday, and we forgot to have it closed. So, but it's really great. You can change the software. I'm very happy with it. So I'm good with this.
That's great. Thank you.
Pam?
Just
do you
a
want-
couple of broad questions. Who's going to be in charge of it at the district level?
Pam,
Will you take shifts, or will it be one person 24/7?
Pam, I would generally run the system with Verkada support. They do have a 24-hour monitoring system. So if a camera goes down or whatnot, they automatically know. It sends an alert to them. And like we said, you can actually send a link for the system to the police department so they can view it. But if there's ever issues, I usually have my phone 24/7, and there's always backup. Josh Hill, our superintendent, will also be available to address any issues. And then one thing I did want to state too, this is for a 10-year licensing agreement. So this is for the long term of our system.
Wow.
So we won't have to be going through this again in 3 to 5 years. Their cameras, if they get updates, it's all cloud-based. It automatically sends updates to the camera and whatnot. So I feel like monitoring this in-house would be no problem.
And I do think it's important to jump in, since Paul did mention the 10 years. You don't need to worry about, you purchasing this and then the system becoming outdated at all. Everything that's in there, we're only using about 17% of the processing power on this hardware. And with the Verkada, there are no purchasing special features or anything like that. So absolutely everything that we push out over the next 10 years, you will get to take advantage of at absolutely no extra charge. And then Pam, I think that question you had asked earlier was kind of alluding to the everyday management of the system. I just want to put your mind at ease that this is a system that once we get it set up, there will not be everyday management. It's really going to be a hands-off system once everything is running smoothly.
Okay, so one quick question about the contract. Is this a contract, Doug? And I'm sorry, I didn't look at it. Is this a contract where if we feel the company's having issues, we can let them go, or are we stuck for 10 years? Does anybody know?
So
Go ahead, Kevin, sorry.
I was gonna say, I can speak to that. As far as company issues, like the company going under, things like that, if for any reason that were to happen, right now, the Verkada system only works with the Verkada software. However, there are contingency plans in place, not that we're anticipating this ever happening, where if that did go down, we would open up the system and it would be able to run on any operating system that a camera manufacturer is making right there. So your investment is protected.
Okay, and there was one more question. Oh, what about the power? What happened? So we'll have a backup generator, right? We won't need to worry about it.
The building will have a backup generator.
Yeah, we're working on this. We're looking into the design and power and everything for that right now. I'm reviewing electrical schematics. And then just one more thing, Pam, we did talk to a couple of different companies that are utilizing it as well. The San Rafael City Schools raved.
Oh,
The
good.
chief technology officer at the La Cañada Unified School District also uses this software. And there's been nothing but rave reviews from anybody from the outside that we've talked to.
Great, thank you.
Michael?
Oh, I was gonna earlier say, I wonder if we know anybody whose company is using it, but Doug, you stole my thunder. So I'm just glad to know that we checked with not only with Doug, but with all the other ones that Paul just mentioned. And I looked a little bit and I couldn't find anybody saying anything bad anywhere. So it seems like a nice system.
It'll put your mind at ease to know that over a third of all enrolled students in Marin County are actually protected by Verkada, and that number is going to grow to a little bit over 75% by the end of the summer. So we're widely adopted in your area and widely trusted.
Good. Do I have a motion?
I move that, hang on. Yeah. 1 second here. We authorize the general manager upon review and approval of council to execute payment in the total amount of $178,589.12 to QOVO Solutions, Inc. for the installation of Verkada video surveillance access control, alarm system, and guest management integrations for RVSD headquarters at 1111 Anderson Drive.
Second,
Can we have a roll call, please, Julia?
Yes, thank you. Borstein,
Oh, yes.
Gaffney,
Yes,
Meggs,
Yes,
Scylla,
yes,
Kelly. President Kelly.
Yes.
Oh, thank you. Unanimous vote.
Okay, thank you very much. Let's move, and thank you, Kevin, for coming and taking the time tonight.
I appreciate you having me. Have a great day, everybody.
Thank you. Committee report out.
hey, Doug, the people from 11 are here. From agenda item 11, do we want to amend the,
I'm happy to amend the agenda at your suggestion, if you'd like to move that.
yeah, I move that we take item 11 next.
Can I have a second?
Second,
second,
Mary, thank you. Roll call on the amended to the amended, Julia.
Thank you. Borstein,
yes.
Gaffney,
Yes,
Meggs,
yes,
Scylla,
yes,
Kelly.
Yes.
Unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you. Number 11 is consideration of authorizing the general manager upon review and approval of council to approve a master services agreement with Adora for communications and outreach services for task order number 1 for an amount not to exceed $150,000. And who's going to bring this? Is this Steve?
Yes, thank you, President Kelly and board members. Item 11 has some unique characteristics. I'll walk through them briefly. We have communication and outreach services, an existing master services agreement with a company called NV5. It was originally set up in 2017 before I joined. But at that time, you'll recall, there was an effort to create a branding for the district and to put a positive image out in the service area as the district was embarking on an ambitious capital program to implement the requirements of the state enforcement order, and a need to refresh the website and to have a regular monthly bulletin of activities issued by the general manager. And so there was a push to improve the communication and outreach efforts that time, 5.5 years ago. NV5 was selected to be the consultant and has been supporting the district, and its services have been renewed annually through a task order system under that master services agreement. Very recently, the employees for NV5 that work on communication outreach have joined a new company called Ardura. And it's the same group of individuals that have been working with us all these years. And to continue to have them on our team, which they've been doing a great job for us, we need to set up a new master services agreement with a new task order for the coming year to continue these services, which are described in the staff report, but include maintenance of the website. And they work closely with our staff management analyst, Courtney Buell, in the engineering department to refine the outreach messages on the website, to get word out in areas where we're doing construction, et cetera, et cetera. So this is a well-oiled machine, I would submit. You know, they've been a reliable team, and it's just a matter of changing the contract vehicle in this annual update, which you'll recall each July we do the task orders. As far as the amount, we based the amount of $150,000 on last year's expenditures, which totaled about, they came in ultimately at 126,000, but we had budgeted 200,000. So we just are right sizing the budget based on what projecting about the same level of effort this year as we had last year. So the actual proposed budget for the team has come down, but it's just because they haven't been requiring as much budget in past years. So with that, I do recommend that we switch gears to the new company, but it's the same people, and that really is what it comes down to. That we're satisfied with our support team, and recommend we continue moving forward with them. We've invited them to join us to reintroduce themselves to you as we do. And we have Carmen Kasner, who actually was the original signatory to the Master Services Agreement in 2017. She continues to have that leadership role. And we have Gabriella Dow, who's been the project manager all these years, also here. And invite you both to say a few words to the board.
Well, thank you, Mr. Moore and President Kelly, board members. I'm Carmen Kasner. As Mr. Moore mentioned, I actually had brought the team with me over to NV5 a number of years ago. I've worked with them, I think, about 15 years, some of them, and they're just an amazing team of individuals. And so when I left NV5 recently and joined Ardura, they asked if they could come with me and continue providing service to their clients. So we are thrilled with the opportunity to continue to provide service to Ross Valley Sanitation with your very important capital program. And we look forward to continuing to provide, excellent service.
I'd point out that 7 of Carmen's teammates are moved over already, and an 8th moved over today, was it? Carmen?
It'll be Friday.
Okay. So that's 8 of the team. I would say, because Pam and I have worked on this, this is a classic case of if it's not broken, let's not fix it. The team's been doing a great job. Gabriella does a great job. We're really pleased with the videos that we've had. They've helped design and a lot of the outreach. So I have a view on that, but I'll open it up to the board, questions or comments.
Well, also, forgive me, President Kelly, real quick, Gabriella, do you have any comments you want to make? Because you've been in the trenches there, and you know about our priorities, and do you want to say anything to the board members before they ask you questions?
Sure, absolutely. And in true community relations fashion, I'm out at a special event, so I apologize. The Wi-Fi might cut out a little bit. Lawrence has really done an incredible job. He's just a 30-minute drive away from the district and the community. And so he works, like you said, with Courtney, with Julia, with all of the staff, all of the construction, CIP programs. And Ardura also has offices all throughout California. A leader like Carmen is, very difficult to find. And so for all of us in the team, we really, we know that somebody that we respect so much, that understands community relations, and that really empowers us to provide the client everything that they need. So we're glad this worked out, and we would be honored to continue providing service to you and your community.
Pam?
Yes. I am looking at the overall budget. And first of all, is this a one-year contract or is it longer or what?
Yes, we set up a master services agreement so that we can add task orders. And the practice has been to review this annually, right during when the budget gets adopted. And then we issue the task order the following month. And so it's an annual review.
Okay. I do have, I'm a little confused on this spreadsheet that it looks like we did it with Ardura. The project manager is going to get $106,000. all the other people don't get much. They're all 8,000, 2,000, 6,000, and a graphic designer at 14,000. I'm curious about that, why it's such a high amount. And it says it's the hours is 552 hours. I mean, I don't want to get picky here, but I would think it would be more reverse, that the people hands-on would have more hours or spread out more evenly. If somebody or some of you could respond, and I'm hoping maybe Carmen or the Ardura people. And anyway, I'm just kind of surprised on that, because 106,000, our budget's only 150,000. So anyway, that's my question.
Well, Lawrence is a very Lawrence is very hands-on. I mean, project manager he's an account coordinator also. I mean, he's the one who's doing the work. He manages the website. It's just, he's most efficient at been doing it for a very long time for you already. So it's most efficient and cost effective for you to actually have him do the work. It's not a traditional project manager where you delegate everything. Our project managers are very hands-on with the clients.
And I can add that that's a guide for the anticipated. Of course, we have the not to exceed, and we have been coming in under budget all of these years. But if there's sort of a crisis situation and there needs to be a strategic advisor, if there's any communication that needs bilingual staff, then we are able to obviously increase the different expertise from all of the different staff members that are available to you. But it has been Lawrence really managing everything from the website to postings on Nextdoor to tracking any comments or being out on the field, helping out with any construction notices. And then the graphic designer, they really do work very well together, again, with your staff. But it's, we're not locked into not having more junior staff help out once we start doing events in the community. So like a ribbon cutting, that would bring in some of the more junior staff, or if there's more media activity, we have some other staff that specialize in media. Although Lawrence handles that very well also.
Just quickly, the labor costs, which I'm not clear who that is or what it is $137,000. And it's not clear on the spreadsheet. And I don't have a clue who that is or what it is. And I think that needs to be
It's a
defined.
total of all of them.
That's the total. It says labor at the top.
Yeah, it's total labor.
Oh, it's total. It doesn't say total. It just says labor. Okay, I see it. And so Lawrence is the project manager. Is that right?
Yes, he is. Sorry.
That's correct.
Okay. And Carmen, you're the program supervisor?
My time doesn't even show up on there. I'm an overall, Gabby's the program supervisor. I'm just more of a overall client relations.
Thank you.
Tom?
Well, I don't know, actually, Pamela, that was clarifying. So the person that's doing all the work, or most of it, is the project manager, and that's Lawrence. And then the others, like media specialists and others. And then Gabriel, you'll be kind of supervisor. Is that it? And so you're probably about 6% of the project cost. Okay.
Yeah, Gabriella takes care, she helps pull together monthly reports on their activities, and she pulls together metrics on the website and packages it for management to review. So she has a regular flow of work, but it's not a lot of hours.
Okay, and well, that's good. I mean, I'd rather have the people doing a lot of the work. That's where the money should be spent. And actually, last year, your budget was 200, well, when you were with NV5, was 200,000. And the charges were were under 150, weren't they?
Yes, we're looking forward to them going to the next company next year, and we'll be down to 100.
Okay.
Well, the pandemic had an impact, and so again, some of the in-person events that were planned. But you know, Lawrence and our team really do. I think somebody mentioned it's a well-oiled machine, and so there aren't too many rounds of reviews, and any edits that are provided by your staff are done very quickly on fact sheets, on material that's provided for the public. So we're moving a pretty efficient way, I think.
Anything else, Tom?
No.
Michael?
I was going to mention also what Tom just said, that last year's budget was 200,000 and this year's budget is 150,000 with the same team. So I'm just assuming and expecting that they will do the same great job that they have done with us for the last number of years and being cost conscious. A terrific job, everybody. Thank you so much. I look forward to working for you in the next year.
Mary?
Yeah, no, I was curious. At first I thought NV5 was changing its name or going out of business, but a quick web search demonstrates that's not true at all. So it's in my nonprofit world, it's unusual for a whole bunch of people to leave and go from one to the other, but I guess that's not that unusual in your field. And yeah, it's great that you have that kind of loyalty from your team and that and that they will want to follow you.
I'm blessed.
I'm sorry.
Okay, Tom?
Yeah, I had another point, and that is that both NV5 and Adora are engineering firms. It's surprising. They do a lot of wastewater rate studies and work like that. So we're kind of a unique industry, and I think explaining what we do is probably a weak spot for us. It's difficult. Nobody hears about a sanitary district unless something goes wrong. So you've really got to work to get the information out and know the ins and outs of the business. So I think that's an advantage.
Okay. Well, the fact is this year they're going to have some additional work to do. We'll be announcing more things about Larkspur Landing project. And of course, come January, we'll want the public to know about 111 Anderson Drive being the new headquarters. So we've got that coming out. So, and again, I don't see any public, but I'll ask, is there any public comment? Okay, seeing none, I'll bring it back to the board.
So if there's nothing else, I move that we authorize the general manager upon review and approval of council to approve a master services agreement with Ardura for communications and outreach services and task order number 1 for an amount not to exceed $150,000 exactly.
I'll second.
There you go, Tom. Thank you. Moved and seconded. Julie, can we have a roll call, please?
Yes, thank you. Borstein,
Please.
Gaffney,
Yes.
Meggs,
Yes.
Scylla,
Yes.
Kelly,
Yes.
unanimous. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, Carmen, and thank you, Gabriella. Thanks
Thank
for coming.
you. And thank you, board members, for keeping our team going.
Good. All right, item number 4 is the committee report out. Tom or Michael, can we have a ad hoc facilities committee report?
Sure. We as things have been quite fluid down there at 1111 Anderson. As you know, everything was all set with the new lease, and Comcast looked at it and said, we're really not using that space downstairs. And gee, RVSD, did you ever think about having a meeting room down there? Something that we've talked about since day one. And so we said, yes, let's talk about it. And we redid the lease to include that and all the ramifications of that, and worked with our architect and our designer, and came up with, I think, is going to be a gorgeous meeting room downstairs, which solves all sorts of problems of not having to have the public marching around upstairs unsupervised during our board meetings, and also gives us the opportunity to have other organizations, whether they be government or Rotary clubs or whatever, be able to come in and access a boardroom downstairs with everything associated with that. And without having to go upstairs at all. And it could be a really fabulous community asset for everybody. So I'm very excited about that. And we ran into a little bit of an issue there because all of a sudden somebody noticed, hey, this needs to be ADA. So it had to be redone a little bit so that, you know, in case Tom and I are there for another 20 years and I have to accommodate our wheelchairs, you know, we can get in there and, you know, even have probably electricity up there to plug them in and charge them up while we're up there. So very exciting, and hopefully we get to start sometime soon.
Okay. Tom, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, what I wanted to add is that we saw a draft layout of the downstairs and then asked that the board should see the thing too. So staff told us that's coming. I think it's next month on next month's agenda. And so I guess you're still working on it, or it's almost done or whatever. And then you'll share that with the board as a whole. And I think it's a giant improvement. The entryway was so confusing. Remember, we had a kind of a diagonal to get to the elevator, and we were sharing the front door, and it was awkward. And now it's way better. And then the location of a downstairs meeting room is much better.
Okay, thank you very much. Ad hoc business plan committee. Pam, do you want to do that, or do you want me to?
Well, we're going to be discussing quite a bit of it you can. First of all, I just want to say it's really easy to understand and look at what we've done, what's expected, and how we're moving ahead. So I'm very happy with it. But go ahead, Doug.
Well, I agree, Pam. We are going to be doing it. We had a review of it. We looked at what we have accomplished and what we want to accomplish in the upcoming year. It's on the agenda, so let's leave it at that, and we'll all address it as we come up on item number 13. Finance committee. Tom, do you want to take that?
Sure, I'll start out. You know, the finance committee, Doug and I met yesterday with staff, and we looked at in detail at the monthly financial statements, and we're in excellent financial condition. And we mentioned to staff that we're really getting used to the layout of these financial statements. They continue, not only the content, but the layout is really becoming familiar to us. And staff informed us that we're installing new financial software, remember, that we voted in. So they're going to be changing a little bit, but the financial results continue to be very good. And we also took a long look at the year-end financial statement, and Corey and others got it ready. It's, you know, just a couple of weeks after the end of the fiscal year. And it's a very excellent document. I recommend you go over it again or with detail. Then we take a good look at all the most of the consent items and go through them. And one point I would like to make is that we approved IT Hub, and I think their amount was it's $87,000, and that includes basically an on-call, part-time expert, and then a contingency for any other problems that we might have that come up, as they always do with an internet, and a lot of help on internet security. But the finance committee report was that we couldn't hire somebody, like a staff member, to do this for that amount of money. And so this is an efficient way to use outside experts and actually save us money rather than hire another employee. We also reviewed a number of the things that are going to be on the agenda that, it kind of helps to go over these in a lot of detail. Doug, did you have any additional?
No, I think you filled it.
Also, if I might just mention, Tom, that Felicia mentioned that IT Hub will be an integral part of us moving to the new building.
Yeah.
And that is part of this contract, because that's going to be huge to set it up in the new building and get it all going again.
Yeah, that's great. Actually, that's a good point, Michael, because after the fact, it's a lot harder than when you're building, you know.
Okay. Thank you very much. Michael, CMSA, do you want to do it? Do you want me to do it?
Sure. Let's run through it here. We had a meeting last week, and the main thing is we approved a MOU for the union. That's a 5-year agreement. And that's really a terrific thing for the agency. It's really great for us also, because it means we pretty much know within reason what our fees are going to be. We can plan on CMSA pretty much for the next 5 years. We know what their capital plan is, and now we know what operations is going to cost us. We did our once-a-year appointments, which we'll do later for us. And Dean DiGiovanni, Sandra Fell, really, is the board chair for the next year. And so next year, RVSD ought to be up for that again.
Well, I'm the vice chair at this point.
Yeah. And you know, that's lovely. And I expect it will be Doug, but it will be RVSD.
Yep.
For certain.
Yep.
So that's the beauty of what was done. And we went through the proposed fiscal year 23 agency business plan. And, you know, we'd all seen it before, but it was nice to see it intact as a whole. Doing some maintenance and work over at San Quentin. And that seems to all be going very well also. We have to take, we accept organic waste and other things into our system. And that's all been stored underground for a long time. And so now we're going to build a storage unit that's going to go in the same area, but it's going to be an above ground liquid organic waste storage and the biogas treatment upgrades project. We didn't actually discuss it, but oh boy, we're so close to getting the new Jenbacher engine up and running. It's been one thing after another, and the latest holdout was PG&E telling us that we had the wrong kind of battery backups. And it wasn't that we had the wrong kind. They wanted us to specify in it. Anyway, so we finally did that. And I believe that PG&E has given us a green light to go ahead and crank up and start producing biogas with our new engine, which will really be terrific. We're also going to be replacing the cover as part of that whole cover fiasco last year. We decided, you know what, let's go ahead and replace the other cover, lest it go out unexpectedly like the first one did. And we were able to work out a deal with Evoqua, I believe that's the name, Doug, with Evoqua for pricing and maintenance and warranty. And so we're going to go ahead and start that up pretty soon. I'll let the board know when that's happening, because it's actually pretty cool to be able to go down into the digesters when they're all clean. It looks like a Roman Colosseum down there. It's much more giant than it would appear. And you can actually then get a lovely souvenir of struvite, which is the mineral that's made out of effluent that's been digested. It's quite pretty, and people think it's disgusting. And I think that was sort of it.
Yeah, I'll add one thing. I asked for the poll item K off the consent and asked eventually for a continuance of that. Let me just explain what that is. It's a revised agency conflict of interest code stating that the Political Reform Act of '74 requires certain disclosures, and the FPPC changed the code this year, or they review it every 2 years, And they're asking for those in category 1, which include board members and other people, to disclose investments in, income from, and positions in business entities that operate or own property in the service area. The reason I wanted to pull that is I want some clarification. What is it they want from me? So yes, my company doesn't own any property here, but it operates all over the country. Do they want to know my salary? Do they want to know the salary of every elected official in the United States of America, in California? So I thought that was odd. So I asked to pull it. We didn't have an answer at the time. We do have an answer now. All they want to know is, who do I work for, which is already on my bio on the website anyway. So I have no objection to that. That'll be back on the agenda in September. We're not having an August meeting. And I would be fine with that. So disclosure, category 1 in Appendix A is revised for required filers to disclose investments in, income from, and positions in business entities that operate or own property in the agency service job. So that'll be back on their agenda in September. North Bay Watershed, Pam.
Unmute, please.
Okay, so we had a guest who was from the state, and it was 2 people. So they talked about legislative updates for stormwater management. Her name is Karen Cowan. She's the executive director of the California Stormwater Quality Association. And the chair, whose name is Hawkeye, don't you love it, Hawkeye Sheen, who is also on a legislative subcommittee. There was a presentation about creating throughout the state permitting on a uniform level for stormwater. And they presented a letter and talked about that. I sent it to Julia to send on to you all. And I also sent on the treasurer's report. So that's the basic overview. And that's what they did, is talk about current state water quality and the legislation that's consequential to our North Bay watershed communities and our member agencies responsible for implementation. And there's no meeting next month. They
Thank you,
take
Pam.
off, they take vacations.
If it would be okay, Pam, I'd just like to say how it struck me, that what they're talking about is State Bill 54, which is the California Stormwater Quality Association is writing to provide our support for State Bill 54, which really what it is in the past, nobody ever worried much about stormwater, where it was coming from, what it was doing, and especially what was in it. And with the advent of microplastics and all the other things, it's become a real big issue. You see it, you look at all the storm drains and they have, that this is going directly to the bay with the fish on it. So we really need to have the public understand that we need to stop the pollution at the source, that this stuff is not going to go through a treatment plant like CMSA. And it's only going to get worse. And just to, I'm just going to quote it real quick. Minimizing pollution as opposed to attempting to remove pollution from the environment is essential to sustainable stormwater management. True source control, the elimination of a pollutant at its source, and the use of alternative products offers the most effective and economical approach to the elimination of many pollutants that impair the beneficial uses of California waterways. This is keep an eye on this State Bill 54, because it's really, really important, not only for us now, but, it's off into the future, because they may at some point say this is a bad enough project that, we need something like CMSA to clean up the stormwater too, which is practically impossible because there's so much of it during the big storms. So,
Is there a funding source?
oh, not much. That's, the stormwater has never, it's been the orphan child. It's never been funded well. The towns have had to do it themselves. I know San Anselmo just had that big deal at San Anselmo Avenue in Lagunitas. No, Bolinas.
Center Boulevard.
No, down at the other end of town, down by St. Anselm's. that they had, Bolinas, that they had to redo that whole thing, and the town had to pick that up. So there is no unified funding or unified project management.
Permitting.
Yeah, so
And-
this is really important, and I was worried it wasn't going to be that interesting, but it was lovely.
Okay, thank you.
So I also sent around, they have a letter, and within that information is the Senate Bill number 205. Anyway, you can look at it.
All right. Thank you very much. Steve, verbal report by the general manager?
Yeah, it's a real short one today, but I thought I'd go ahead and pull up a visual for you. You know, this is what the inside of the digester looks like
After it's cleaned.
after it's clean. Yeah, and then I've got another one. Let's see, stop share. And you can see the mechanism here. So, you know, this is where the solids go into this thing, you know, and then we get the methane gas off of that, and that's collected and beneficially reused for renewable energy.
I believe they also filmed the scenes from Ben-Hur where they're racing the things around on the inside of a digester.
Yeah, but they only have a couple months, and then we got to start using the digester again, right?
Yep.
We got to get that Jenbacher engine.
Oh,
Well, at least this one we're organized and we're scheduling it, and we know, you know, we're in control of our own destiny. And by the way, the cover will be the same as the other one, and it won't be going back and forth twice or three times. Okay, anything else, Steve?
Well, that I'll just say one item that you're all very interested in, and is the 1111 Anderson construction. We're tentatively scheduled for next week, but we still haven't gotten the plan check comments on the revisions from the city of San Rafael on the first floor modifications that the facilities committee mentioned. So it's day to day. You know, they tell us they were going to turn it around quickly for the public agency under contract and in construction. So it's day to day, but we're staying optimistic that we can get started on construction as planned in the next couple of weeks. Does that sound right, Felicia? Yeah, and so, you know, stay tuned. And then the other thing I would just mention is you've already talked about the business plan some, and we'll talk about it in item 13. But my GM updates in this verbal report section of the agenda often revolve around these items in the business plan, you know, and giving you these periodic updates and the different things we're working on. So this month, not a lot of updates because we were pulling together sort of the plan for the fiscal year for you to see, to read about and discuss later in the agenda. So that's all for my update.
Thank you very much. Any verbal reports by board members or requests for future agenda items? Tom? No, I see no. Mary?
Yes, I would like to ask, is pump station 15 louder than it used to be? And do you think it could be quieter? And it's funny because I talked with Michael about this. My bedroom window is at the back of the house. And I just remember it used to not be so loud, and it got louder when it was being renovated, particularly loud on some nights when there was an actual problem. So just curious, the ambient noise level out there is greater than it used to be. Michael has a theory related to the pandemic and people working from home. But I'm not asking for an answer today, but I'm just curious if you guys have any thoughts about that.
but what I noticed that I suggested was that it used to be that when I would ride my bike by there often, I would notice that it was the loudest in the morning and in the evenings, like when people, before they left for work and the kids going to school. And I suggested that maybe it was louder, a little bit louder all day long, because people were doing some of that stuff during the day that they didn't used to. Because I noticed that in the afternoons, it did seem to be running louder. Maybe more pumps going, but I don't know that.
Yeah, and so obviously I would be speculating to respond too much. I know that we're working on replacing some trees that were removed. There were these acacia trees. They're weedy, non-native species, problematic for many reasons. They fall down, you know, one of them. And so they were removed, and they're being replaced with native trees. And so it'll take some time to create that screening. I don't know if that had a noise barrier effect before, but we certainly will look into it.
You know what? Now that you mention it, there's a whole kind of nature preserve, which the kids were using for a mountain biking thing back there, and it used to be called the 101 by the kids, and that all got mowed down. So it's possible that it's just a reduction in all the trees and foliage back there. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, we have our O&M manager here, and he's
I see him. He's thinking.
Always interested in, you know, one of our cultural behaviors is to pursue improvement. You know, we never rest on our laurels here at the district, and so we'll definitely look into the issue of noise and have some answers for you.
Yeah, Mary, I got a note down here for you, and we'll go check it out. I'm sure there's a decibel meter floating around somewhere. I believe CMSA may have one. I might be able to borrow to do a little couple of readings or something out that way in different times of the day and see what's going on. You know, I hate to be the auto mechanic and ask you what it sounds for, but I can send you an email about that later. But it could be anything from a VFD whine to an extra fan coming on for ventilation, but it's something I'll look into. I got a note down here for you.
Yeah.
Thanks very much.
Yeah, odor control can be noisy. You know, so we'll look into it and see if we get some answers.
Thank you. All right, Mary, anything else, Mary? No. Pam?
No.
Thank you. Michael? I see nothing from Michael and nothing from me. Okay. The next item is the consent calendar. Matters listed on this item are considered routine and will be enacted by one motion. The consent calendar may include resolutions. Therefore, the motion, second, and vote will also be applicable to the resolutions and recorded accordingly. There'll be no separate discussions of these items unless requested by a member of the board or the public prior to the time the board votes on the motion to adapt. Does anybody on the board wish to pull anything from the consent calendar? I see no from Tom. I see Mary not looking at me. She's saying no. Michael says no. Pam, I don't hear anything from. Does anybody in the public wish to pull anything from the consent? Hearing none, I would move for a motion.
Move the consent.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Michael and Tom, thank you. Julia, can we have a roll call, please?
Absolutely. Thank you. Borstein,
Yes.
Gaffney,
Yes.
Meggs,
Yes.
Scylla,
Yes.
Kelly,
Yes.
unanimous. Thank you.
Okay, I'd like to at this time suspend the agenda and the board meeting and open up a public hearing for consideration and adopting of resolution number 22-1628, approving the report of sewer service charges for fiscal year 22-23 and directing the filing of charges for collection by the county tax collector. So this is a public hearing part of the meeting. Can I have that agenda started with you, Steve, or will Felicia do that?
Yeah, it's for this annual public hearing process. Yeah, I would like to ask Felicia to brief the board on the process. She put together the staff report and organizes this working with Andrea. Thanks.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you, President Kelly. I present the sewer service rate roll to the board this evening with the help of the clerk of the board, Julia Cooper, who has published the rates in the IJ per state code twice prior to this meeting this evening. This is a routine that the board is familiar with at this juncture, having now in our fourth year of this 5-year rate study, and of course having adopted rates, annual rates, sewer service rates in the past years. The annual rates are based on EDUs for residential customers and water use, the winter water usage for commercial customers. The let's see, what else do I have to tell you? Julia, would you like to add something to that?
The full tax roll, which I sent earlier this week via email, was made available in print at the district office for any members of the board or public who wanted to review the charges that would be on their upcoming property taxes. And that full tax roll included the price if you received our or are a member of the rate assistance program. So that discount of 20% was reflected in that that draft roll. So as HM Newhouse said, this is a routine item, but that was made available to the public in advance of the hearing.
Excellent. Very important points, Julia, especially with regards to the low-income rate assistance program. We'd like to mention that this program has become more and more popular over the years. It started out several years ago. The board initiated this opportunity for low-income households and ratepayers of the district to receive a 25% discount. And at the initial year, we had somewhere around 50 or 60 customers. We've tripled that. This year we have 200 ratepayers who are taking advantage of the low income discount. So it's become a very popular program. And the only other thing that I'd like to mention, in addition to what Julia's mentioned today with regards to the tax roll, is that this information, these rates, after being approved by the board tonight, are attached to the property tax roll, and NBS, which is another vendor of the district, not NV5, mind you, but NBS Financial Services, does the transmission to the County of Marin Tax Assessor's Office. And with their assistance, we work with the tax assessor's office to attach these sewer service charges on the property tax rolls in Marin County. So I think with that concludes our report. Steve, unless you'd like to add anything else.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
all right. Steve or Felicia or Julia, did we receive any protests or objections via email or mail to your knowledge?
I, as the clerk, received none.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to ask for any public comment or protest or objection at this time.
I have
Okay,
a
with
question, Doug.
that, I'm going to bring it back to the board. Pam?
We're not doing a 218, right? We already did it.
No, this is simply approving this year. In other words, if we wished, we could lower the rate for this year,
All right.
raise it, but it's the fourth year of 5. I really want us to, personally, I'd like us to stick to our plan. And, you know, when we're doing our next 218 in a year, we could look at what the next 5 years look like. But that's
I've
my,
never seen it lowered.
right. Well, it could be, but, you know, we've got some plans going. Do you have anything else, Pam?
Nope.
All right, Mary? That's a no. Tom? That's a no. Michael?
I assume next year we'll hopefully get Mark Hildebrand to help us again, and I'll revisit this in a year. So
Okay.
if nobody else has anything, I could certainly bring
Go
them up.
ahead. All right.
I motion.
I'm sorry, Director Borstein, just a point of information, the public hearing has to be closed before voting.
Okay, I thought I was closing it after the vote. Okay, with that, I'm going to close the public hearing and bring this back to the board.
So I would motion for the board to consider all protests and objections to the report of sewer service charges for the fiscal year 2022 and 23, and 2, adopt resolution number 22-1628, approving the report of sewer service charges for the fiscal year 2022-23, and direct the filing of charges for the collection by the county tax collector.
Second,
Thank you, Mary. Okay, can I have a roll call, please, Julia?
Yes, thank you. Borstein,
Yes, please.
Gaffney,
Yes.
Meggs,
Yes.
Scylla,
yes.
Kelly,
Yes.
unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So now I'm going to resume the regular board meeting and move on to item number 12. Consideration of authorizing the general manager, upon review and approval of council, to execute a Sourcewell contract purchase agreement in the total amount of $373,624.95 to VacCon for a VacCon V230H-500 combination sewer cleaning truck. So are we hearing from Paul on this one?
Well, we will, but I'd like to go ahead and introduce the item.
Thank you.
This should be fairly fresh in the board's memory. We discussed it at the June and May meetings in relation to the annual budget. And thanks to Paul, we're getting a jump on this early in the fiscal year to get things underway. I'd like to provide a little context. In my capacity as acting as operation manager for some time last fiscal year, and learning more about our operations and hearing from some outside experts, including a gentleman named Jeff Cook, who worked for us briefly. Our fleet has a gap. We have a robust fleet, but we have a unique service area with very narrow, steep roadways. Some call them horse trails. No, the locals here in Ross Valley, we call them goat trails. They are so narrow. And so we have one unit in our fleet, which has 2 capacities to jet high pressure water to clean and to vacuum debris into a hopper for disposal. We only have one unit out of our fleet that can do that, and it's very large. And our staff are uneasy about taking that large vehicle up into these narrow roads, and as well as accessing hard to access easements across private property. So there's a real gap in our fleet. We need a smaller unit because we do need this functionality of vacuuming. It will help us avoid sanitary sewer overflows. We had 2 or 3 avoidable sewer overflows this past year that, had we had the capacity to remove debris after cleaning, we may have prevented these overflows. And that has to do with this accessibility. So why now? It's just a matter of doing a critical review of what we have. We lived with that functionality. We still need the big truck to clean wet wells of our lift stations. So we're not replacing the large combo unit. We're complementing it, and as the fleet ages, we can look at phasing out other sewer cleaning vehicles. But for now, this is really, in my opinion, a needed functionality for our maintenance. And I just wanted to provide that overview in terms of what I learned leading up to the hiring of Paul and Josh Hill to really manage our operation and maintenance division. But now I want to hand it off to Paul for him to give additional insight into the process. Why VacCon and not VacTor, for instance? That was a very important question. And other details. Paul?
Yeah, thank you, Steve. Like Steve said, one of the first considerations when we were looking at these combo units was lead time. We all know what the pandemic has done to lead times from regular cars, but these larger vehicles are really sourced out. And VACCON and Sourcewell were able to confirm a chassis for August of this year if approved, which would put us hopefully within the winter, maybe January, if they can get it going. VACTOR was up to a year lead time, 365 days almost minimum, just for the chassis and the equipment alone. So we're really hoping to utilize this equipment through this wet weather and with our uptick in maintenance throughout the system. Like Steve said, it's a lot shorter wheelbase on this vehicle. It'll really assist staff with being able to go up in the hills and vacuum up the debris as they're flushing and bringing it back down. So it's not trailing that back down the hill into another line and plugging it up. It assists with the grease removal and some tougher lines that we can dump at CMSA to help create renewable energy. Like Steve said, 35% of the sewers are in easements and hard to get to, windy roads. It makes it a real challenge to get the larger unit up there and even turned around once you are up the hill. So yeah, we'd like to ask if you have any questions about this vehicle purchase, and hopefully I can fill you in if you have any questions.
I have one, but I don't know if it's a question, but it's too bad there's no, I mean, we're all going to move to electric vehicles. So Steve told me there's no such thing as a Vector jet truck that's electric yet. But I agree with you. I think it's needed. And if it's for health and safety, then go for it.
Oh, Paul, what did you find out though? You know, in terms, I mean, you know, things are changing. There'll be electric vehicles in the future, but what did you learn?
You asking me?
Oh, no, I was asking Paul, but I think he got scared by the question and left the meeting.
I don't blame him. I don't,
But
somebody's going to be making a lot of money off of them when they do come out, I think.
I don't know. Actually, Courtney, you may have learned something. You were helping with the research. Did you learn anything about electric vehicles for sewer cleaning vehicles?
Haven't heard of any electric vehicles for for sewer cleaning, but school buses.
Sorry, everybody. I don't know how I got kicked out there.
US Post Office just announced that they're going to increase from their 10% current electric vehicle to 40% right away. So
yeah, and we are through the enterprise lease program. We'll have that flexibility as these become more available, because the enterprise lease program is for the pickups, which is, you know, a good, I don't know, 2/3 of our vehicles, or maybe half of them. So it won't be too long before, as we turn the fleet over through the lease program, we'll take advantage of available electric vehicles.
Sorry about that, everybody. I don't know how I got kicked out there, but I'm back. And yeah, it sounds like you discussed the battery option. Sorry about that.
No, don't worry about it. We got a good laugh because we figured you were scared off by that question. So yeah, it's not readily available, but as with everything, we're always on the lookout for opportunities to reduce our carbon footprint, and that would be one.
Steve or Paul, this is a 500-gallon capacity vehicle. What's the one we have now?
The one we have now is a 10-yard. This is actually a 3-yard, so it's about 2,000 gallons. It's much larger.
And how much larger is it? Do you know the length of the?
So yeah, the wheelbase of the larger unit's 258-ish inches long, and the new one's about 156.
Yep. Okay. Not quite half, but close. Okay. Tom?
This was in our budget. I mean, we approved the budget for this item. And remember, we bought a smaller, a couple of years ago, we bought some smaller units for the same reason. And so it's very logical to me to get these smaller pieces of equipment. And we did get a minor discount going through Sourcewell. We got several $1,000s and a year's lead time. This is much better delivery. So
We'll have this in time for winter. Mary?
Sounds great to me. I certainly know about the small windy roads of the Ross Valley.
Michael?
Paul, what do you figure? 0 to 60 in how many seconds?
35.
And are we gonna have the baddest VACCONs in the county?
We will.
Okay,
I think that was part of the
I think we should do it then.
That was part of the problem, Director Borstein, was the existing fleet was too big, too bad. We need to slim it down a little bit.
Doug was asking, are we gonna get it, what do you call it, covered?
Well, not wrapped, but at least a logo. I like wraps. I like the wraps, but I don't think we've chosen a good wrap.
Maybe our logo with some flame, not just, anyway, I think it's a good thing.
But Steve, we will logo it.
Okay. Logo with flames.
There you go.
Did you get that?
Yeah, I got it.
Clerk? Yeah, clerk of the board. Yeah.
All right. Okay. Thank you very much. Do I have a motion?
I move we authorize the general manager upon review and approval of council to execute a Sourcewell contract purchase agreement in the amount of $373,624.95 to VACCON for a VACCON V2308/500 combination sewer cleaning truck.
Thank you. All right. Thank you, Michael. Julia, can we have a roll call, please?
Yes, thank you. Borstein,
Please.
Gaffney,
Yes.
Meggs,
Yes.
Scylla,
Yes.
Kelly,
Yes.
unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thanks, Paul. Okay, item number 13, consideration of adopting the fiscal year 2023 annual business plan. That's item number 13. Steve?
Thank you, Director Kelly and board members. I'm getting in the habit of trying to get the business plan before you first thing in the fiscal year so that we can set the stage for really a way you can evaluate the performance of your management team and supporting staff, looking over the next year. I think it's been a useful tool that way. The origins of the business plan format are in the 2016 strategic plan effort, which really set forth almost like a 2-year business plan at that time. And it's anchored in fairly easy to understand criteria, attributes of effective utility management. And this comes out of a standardized approach that's really from the National American Water Works Association for Effective Utility Management. When you developed your strategic plan in 2016, you're drawing on an industry standard, and it's very intuitive. And so what I did this year in this page 2 of the staff report on board packet page number 146, I distilled and made, in a easy to read format, the 7 effective utility attributes that we've embedded into our strategic planning. And the business plan is an annual strategic plan, pretty much. It's really what our effort as an organization to be strategic. And they just make a lot of sense, right? And we've combined some and split some and just to make it fit Ross Valley and the breadth of activities under each category. So number 1, customer service, stakeholder understanding and support. Number 2, employee and leadership development. Number 3, enterprise resiliency. Number 4, financial viability and sustainability. Number 5, infrastructure stability and product quality. That one's interesting, right? From a utility standpoint, product quality. Well, that would be if you're drinking water, you're talking about your tap water, right? If you're wastewater, especially us, we're conveying it. So the quality of our product is our ability to convey the wastewater to the treatment plant. And then, the 6th is operational optimization. What are we doing to enhance that in our organization? And finally, importantly, what are we doing to protect water resources and enhance community sustainability? What activities are we going to do to feed into that? So I spent a little more time this year than following in the staff report to be clear to you and the public about what we've completed in last year's business plan and propose to delete from this year's business plan, number one. Number two, what we have not yet completed and will continue to pursue in this year's business plan. And then number three, what are we going to add that we weren't doing before in the coming year? And I wanted you to be able to see that in all of these different categories, we have a diverse commitment. So going back to the first thing, the things that we completed, you can see we completed things under customer service, stakeholder understanding. We completed tasks in employee and leadership development, financial viability and sustainability, and infrastructure. We've completed tasks in those diverse areas. And then you move on to what we've not yet completed. We still have work to do in some customer service and employee leadership development commitments, but also enterprise resiliency, financial viability, infrastructure stability, and operational optimization, right? And so we're committed to continuing to track those things. And then finally, as far as we're staying busy and identifying opportunities to improve our operations, and you can see that we've got for this year some brand new ideas. So on page 4 of the staff report, I've summarized on board packet page 148, under customer service and stakeholder understanding and support, we're going to expand on the successful easement initiative. And we have a phase 2 envisioned this coming year, where we're going to seek synergy with fire departments and landowners to clear vegetation that will have a dual benefit to us for safer access to easements for maintenance of the sewer system. We're also, this year, we need to advocate under the NPDES permit process with CMSA. First, we as a collection system, we're not a discharger. We do not belong on that permit. But if we're not successful in getting off of the permit, at least make sure we're active in whatever commitments we're held to within the permit process are consistent with what we're otherwise committing ourselves to meet our own mission. So those are a couple examples of new activities under that category of utility operations. Under employee and leadership development this year, we're going to really empower our safety committee of staff to organize the required training. And we're shifting out of the training committee format that we had the last few years. Now that we have new O&M leadership, and we've got a new way of structuring that. We need to add the issue of our Kerner parcel and the Surplus Land Act process in the coming year. If everything comes together for moving to 1111 Anderson, to be financially viable and sustainable, we need to be to initiate the process of disposing of Kerner as surplus property and go through that process lawfully and efficiently. And under infrastructure, I'm excited. It may seem like small potatoes, but this has been a to-do list, and now we're putting it in the business plan. Now that we have our O&M leadership in place, we're really going to solidify our pump station asset inventory, and we're committing to this function within our CMMS that when we have serious defects that staff identify in the field, it will be flagged through a supervisor review function, which we think is really going to make us more effective in spill prevention. And so we're excited about that innovation on our infrastructure. And then under operational optimization, we do recognize that we've got to update the 1111 Anderson lease with the new first floor board meeting room, right? So that's a deliverable we think will happen soon. We're exploring expanded functionality of Laserfiche and looking at customer service portal there. We're going to migrate Laserfiche to a cloud-based system, and then we're excited about really launching the Cassell software for financial, payroll, and timekeeping all in one which you approved a little over a year ago. And now we have the staff in place to make that happen. Finally, under water resources and community sustainability, instead of maximizing recycled water, this year we're going to optimize it. We learned a lot of lessons last year. We did maximize and we fell behind in our productivity. And then thankfully the drought had some relief and we were able to catch up through use of some overtime. And we're in a better place now. But we also have the experience to say, back to the Marin Water District, you know, we can't just use 100% recycled water. We really, there's a consequence to that. And we even talked to them in their hearing about how there's a carbon impact too. You know, there's greenhouse gases of trucking water all over our district. And so it's not a maximize, it's an optimize. So that's how we've fine-tuned that commitment to use recycled water. And then we're looking at evaluating a line directly from CMSA to the new building at 1111 Anderson and costing that out. We think that might be a good idea to be able to fill up our trucks right where we park them. And finally, I know the board has been interested in looking at solar panels and solar power at the new 1111 Anderson building. And so that has a nice place under community sustainability as far as, you know, effective utility management. So I know that was long-winded, but I wanted, oh, and then finally, actually, there's a quiet little paragraph at the end of the staff report that says, and by the way, there are some items that we do year after year. And so they're also within here, like our metrics reports, our commitment to reviewing OPEB and pension liability and implementing a plan for that, as well as, of course, our capital improvement program and following what we plan to do in the annual budget. So with that, I appreciate you listening to that long-winded explanation, but I hope to give everyone, including staff, an appreciation of the diversity of the work we do and how it fits within this, you know, 7 different attributes of what excellent utility management looks like. And then I'm happy to answer any questions about specific commitments and things we've completed, which I didn't go into great detail over, but I'm happy to answer questions about.
You're on mute, Doug.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that, Mary. Tom?
Well, I reviewed it and I just think it's a good piece of work. I'm glad the committee got to look at it too. And there's a lot of things that we're working on in addition to maintaining our sewers and doing replacements and upgrades. So I look forward to some of these especially. But that's all, Doug. Yeah.
Okay. Mary?
Looks great. It's very straightforward. It's fun to see who's responsible for what. From an outsider's perspective. I know you all know who does what, but it's good to know what PBR and FN and SM are working on. So no, looks great. Thank you.
That's right. Yeah, I should have mentioned there is we call it who's the parent, you know, of this item. You know, it can be delegated, but yeah, who's responsible?
Michael?
Lovely work last year and looking forward to this year. So I think it all looks great and love all the changes that we've done. And let's go.
Okay. Thank you. Pam?
Thank you, Steve, for that summary. You brought it all together and I really appreciate the clarity and the organization. It's very easy to follow, you know, it's excellent. And yes, I like the same thing as Mary said, who's responsible for what, you put the timelines. I'm wondering if we should take off that status to date column because it's all empty for every page.
Because it's the beginning of the year. That'll fill up as we move the year along.
Okay. And it's a ton of work. It's very I like the way we have these objectives, because then it helps us look at what we need to do and how we're doing it and when will we finish. I did suggest maybe, and Doug, I wanted your feedback. There's so much going on and there's a lot of 22 dates on here. Should we meet before the year or not? I was just wondering if that would be helpful, but maybe not.
You mean the business plan committee?
Yeah,
That makes sense to do a half-year meeting. You're halfway through.
yeah. Yeah, that's it.
I think that's a good idea. Steve, can you arrange that?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
You know, probably in the January time period, so we can review the items we thought we'd get done in 22.
Right.
And
And I-
I want to mention though, Director Meggs mentioned that, that status column, and that is the answer. This is the, the green flag or whatever we're beginning, But I'm pleased to announce that on page 11, board packet page 160, evaluate feasibility of moving up monthly financial reports by 1 month. Our goal was to do this by September. Corey helped us do that by July.
Yeah.
You see it in today's board packet.
All right, Corey, you rock.
Felicia's support. So he's 2 months ahead of schedule.
No, that's excellent.
Wow.
We can write something in that one right there, July 20.
So
Yes.
maybe on the review, 6 months review, you'll fill in this like ongoing for each of these that we can see. That'd be really useful.
Yeah, and we do that administratively, as at a certain point in time. It's usually around February. I'll go through the exercise and check those things, and that gives me a way to tickle folks, to ask them, okay, how are we doing on this? So we do. We don't just put this on the shelf and check it out in June. We do a mid-year check.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm really interested in the recycled water issues.
On page 6, Steve, I know that number 2 is critical to number 1. And Corey and Tom and I, and you spoke about this at the financial meeting. We really want to make sure that we're highlighting our pre-funding of the pension liability with the $7 million deposit to the thank you. And the plan for the OPEB payments. I think that that's an important part of what this board's done. I think it's been critically important. And Felicia, Corey, and yourself, Steve, played critical roles in getting that done. But I think we need to tell that story, not just to the credit agencies, but to the public. Because not a lot of agencies are in good shape there, and we are. And we didn't used to be, so I'm really pleased with that.
It's a good idea, Doug.
Yeah.
I think you're right, Doug. Felicia or Corey fill in the gaps here, but when we have the opportunity to have our credit rating reviewed, it's usually associated with things like refunding bonds or that, there's some trigger. And I think if, through that, we remind folks that we have, of our status of funding unfunded liabilities, it'll be favorable if the review is triggered. But it doesn't just happen automatically, right? There has to be a trigger.
Yeah. We have to have some reason to get a rating. Yeah. No, I'm aware of that. But I also think, and we should talk with, hold on, because it's new, fresh in my memory.
S&P and Fitch.
Ardura, to tell the story to the public.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I didn't want to say NV5.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Anything else from any of the board?
Steve, the other thing I appreciate you on this report is you brought out new items. So I think that's really important that we look at that and create new creative ways. So I appreciate that quite a bit.
Thank you.
Anything else on the board? Anything else from the public? Do I have a motion?
I move that we adopt the fiscal year 22-23 annual business plan.
Second.
Okay, thank you very much. Julia, can we have a roll call on that issue, please?
Yes, thank you. Borstein,
Yes.
Gaffney,
Yes.
Meigs,
Yes.
Scylla,
Yes.
Kelly,
Yes.
unanimous. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. And now on to item number 14. Consideration of appointing board officers, representatives, and committee members for fiscal year 22-23. Julia, do you want to introduce this? And then we'll take it from there.
Sure. So annually, the main offices such as president, secretary, and treasurer are appointed at the July meeting, as well as appointments to other boards or commissions such as CMSA, CSRMA, which is the risk management, and NBWA, North Bay Watershed Association. And then lastly, the internal committees. So we currently have one standing committee, which is the finance committee, meeting monthly, the Tuesday before the board meeting, and 4 ad hoc committees that meet as needed: the HR committee, the education and outreach committee, the facilities committee, and the recently discussed committee for the annual business plan. So what we have done the last couple of years, having virtual meetings, is board members will be nominated for these positions in order as they appear in the staff report, and then voted on, often in batches. So, but President Kelly, that is up to you how you want to run that section. And I will note that each vote will need to be done by roll call. So if we vote for every position, each position will need to have an associated roll call vote.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
With the approval of the rest of the directors, why don't we do all of them and then vote once? Do I have any feeling about that? Anybody feel yes or no? Or yeah, Michael saying yes.
Yeah.
Mary?
Fine with me. As
Okay.
the slate is proposed.
Pam, any objection, or Tom?
No.
Okay, all right, so let's start. Let's have a nomination for board president.
Nominate Tom Gaffney.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, any other nominations? Okay, so I'm going to leave that as Tom for board president. Nominations for secretary.
Doug, I have a point of order.
Okay,
If somebody wants to add something, and you can add it before the vote, right? If you change your
Yeah.
mind or something.
sure,
Okay.
sure. Okay, so for secretary? Do you have a
I
nomination?
nominate Michael Borstein.
Okay. Do I have a second on Michael Bornstein's nomination?
I'll second.
Okay, do I have any other nominations for secretary? Okay, moving on. Treasurer,
Director Meigs.
okay.
Oh, goody.
Do I have a second for that?
Well, if you don't want it, you don't have to accept it.
I didn't say that, Michael.
Well, but I sense that, okay.
I'll
Okay.
second that.
Thank you very much. Any other nominations for treasurer? Hearing none. Alternate secretary,
Mary Scylla.
thank you very much. Do I have a second for that?
Second.
Second alternate treasurer.
How about
I'm sorry, are there any other nominations for that? No, I'm going to say no. Any other?
Alternate treasurer. Oh, yeah.
Wait,
Alt-
what
Alternate
happened?
treasurer. That was alternate secretary, alternate treasurer.
Doug?
Oh.
Do I have
Doug
a second?
Kelly.
Did I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Okay, CMSA Commissioner, seat number 1.
I recommend the same CMSA commissioners, Michael and Doug.
Do I have a second for Michael and Doug?
I do. I'll second.
Thank you very much. Same.
I'll
okay.
second for both.
Thank you.
Like, if I can, yeah.
And CMS alternatives, we have all 3 of the rest. Shall we leave that the same? Do I have a
Yes.
motion for that?
Yes.
Okay. And a second for that?
Second,
Thank
I'll
you very
second.
much. Representative to CSRMA Board, we have Michael Bornstein now. Do I have?
Michael, do you want that?
Yeah, I'm always up there and
Then I nominate Michael.
Do I have a second for that, please?
I'll
second,
Mary has seconded that. Thank you, Mary. Alternate representative to CSRMA is currently Pam.
I'll nominate myself.
I'll nominate Pam, of course.
I'll second.
Michael will nominate. And do I have a second?
I
Tom?
second.
Thank you very much. That would remain the same. Representative to NBWA Board.
Director Miggs.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you very much. Okay, Standing Finance Committee, it's been our policy to have the board president and somebody else. So do I have a motion for that standing committee?
I'd suggest Gaffney and Scylla.
Okay, a motion for Gaffney and Scylla. Do I have a second?
I want to nominate Doug. I think you did an excellent job.
Thank you. But Mary's very good at it. I love Tom. Tom's great. So I appreciate that, but I'll second Mary. Tom, Michael, do you have a second?
I'll second. No, I thought I did Gaffney and Scylla.
I will second it. Okay, Ad Hoc Education and Outreach is currently Pam and myself. Do I have a motion?
Go for it. Same.
Second on that?
Yeah.
Okay,
Doug, you skipped over ad hoc HR committee.
Thank you. I'll go back to that. Let's keep on I'll go back to it. Ad Hoc Education and Outreach.
Trying to help Julia out here as we go rapid fire.
My eyes got really panicked. Okay.
HR committee, have we done that one?
We're going to go back to HR. We're on Ad Hoc Education and Outreach. We have a motion for Miggs and Kelly.
No, a second.
Thank you very much. Let's go back to Ad Hoc HR Committee. It's Bornstein and Scylla.
I moved Bornstein and Scylla.
Fine with me. It's not, it's quarterly at the most.
Yeah, it was once last year. It's okay.
Okay. I'm fine with that. So we have a motion. Do we have a second?
second.
Thank you. That stays the same. We did that. Ad Hoc Facilities Committee. We have Bornstein and Gaffney doing it. Do we have a motion, Mary?
I move Bornstein and Gaffney remain.
I second.
Thank you. That'd be the same. Ad Hoc Committee for the Annual Business Plan, currently Kelly and Miggs.
I moved Kelly and Miggs.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you very much. Okay, so the way this would go, Julie, is we're voting a roll call on the following. Tom Gaffney is president, Michael Bornstein is secretary, Pam as treasurer, Mary as alternate secretary, Doug as alternate treasurer. CMSA is Michael Bornstein and Doug Kelly. CMSA alternates are all of the other board members. Representative CSRMA is moved to be Michael. Alternate is Pam. Representative to NBWA is Pam. Standing Committee for Finance is Gaffney and Scylla. Ad Hoc HR Committee is Bornstein and Scylla. The Ad Hoc Education Outreach, Kelly and Miggs. Ad Hoc Facilities is Bornstein and Gaffney. Ad Hoc Committee for the Annual Business Plan is Kelly and Miggs. We have motions and seconds. Can I have a roll?
I have a something.
Okay.
I would like to go back to president and nominate Doug Kelly. I think he's done an excellent job on many levels, including CMSA and the public and the board and staff, finances too. But I would like to nominate Doug Kelly.
Thank you very much, Pam. I take that as a great honor. Can I please have not a second?
I think you can decline.
No, I'm going to decline, but I'm going to take that as a tremendous honor. And thank you very much. Julia, can I please have a roll call on the members the members of the committees and boards and positions as was motioned and seconded?
Yes, thank you. May I ask one clarifying question? The proposed Ad Hoc Education and Outreach Committee is Director Bornstein and Director Scylla. Is that right?
Education and outreach is Miggs and Kelly. It's ad hoc.
Okay, but it was, okay, never mind. It was moved by Director Borstein. Never mind. Let me do a vote.
Yep.
Borstein,
Yes.
Gaffney,
Yes,
Miggs,
What are we voting for?
All of them.
all of them.
I'm gonna abstain on one, but I'll vote yes for the rest. You want to know which one I abstain on, or does it matter?
I believe since this vote is for all of them, you would be abstaining for the full vote.
I'm not gonna do that. I need, Andrea, are you there?
No,
Yeah, I'm here. I think you can make clear which particular position you want to abstain on, and then the minutes can reflect that the vote was the same for all of them, and for the one, there was one abstention.
Okay, thank you very much.
You'll abstain on which, Pam?
On president.
Okay, thank you very much. And then you're affirming on the rest. Is that correct?
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Scylla,
Yes, yes.
Kelly. President Kelly,
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes.
thank you.
Daphne.
Vote carries.
Thank you very much.
Is
Okay.
this where we all march to the district?
Yeah. Yes, and enter the building.
Yeah.
In my
I'd like to
last,
say that Doug did a great job as president too.
thank you very
I
much.
agree with that.
Okay, thank you.
You get a gold star, Doug.
Thank you. Number 15, informational items, monthly operations metrics report. Steve?
Okay, yeah, I just want to note we had one overflow this month, but and it was a challenge, but it was a case of we're trying to do a lot of cleaning and catching up, and we had an old pipe near that crossed a creek that was cleaned a little too aggressively, and so we responded really quickly and minimized the spill, and then came up within the month to a permanent solution. So, we clamped it, even used some duct tape. It wasn't pretty, but it worked. And we kept that thing from leaking for a week and a half. And then we got Gary Mixis Services came out with a fold-in form pipeliner that went through the bridge, and that was a great solution. It's working well, and it's semi-permanent because we looked at options to rebuild that bridge or reroute that sewer, and they are just really difficult. Having that ability to permanently line that sewer turned out to be a great solution. So that was an interesting story. There are other interesting stories in here. If you look at board packet 174, we're tracking the recycled water use. Page 10 of 18 on the metrics report, and this is what catch up looks like. We did our best as an organization to recycle every drop practically early on when the drought was dire. But to catch up on our targets, we really had to ramp up the potable use. And in the end, we ended up being almost 50-50. And this is kind of to the point about optimizing recycled water. We want to use as much as we can, but we really have to meet our targets to effectively prevent sewer overflows and keep things flowing. So, we're learning on what's possible, which is what it's all about, I think. We're trying things and seeing what we can accomplish. Interesting month. Yeah, I'm sure you queued on, if you go back a couple pages on page 7, our percent of flow to CMSA dropped 41%.
Yep.
Month, and I don't think I've seen it that low before. So it's a lot of factors go into that, but it's obviously a trend we like to see. And then hopefully you enjoyed the range of activities that Paul is doing a fabulous job getting summaries from the crews to give you and the public insight into the hard work we do and the unique circumstances we come across each month. So with that, Paul, I want to give you the opportunity to brief the board on anything you think kind of jumps out of the month of June.
Yeah, thank you, Steve. One of the in regards to pump stations and the Primix level controller that was approved by the board, it was, I believe, last fiscal year, but ongoing project right now. Staff installed radio antennas to work with CMSA, which will allow a majority of the pump stations to be able to be monitored live on SCADA. On-call staff will also be able to use them on their phone and laptops to be able to monitor wet well levels, generator actions, whatnot, where it's at. So that's a big step in getting the information routed out to the SCADA system to be able to monitor. Another good one was the Union Sanitary District Overflow Simulator. We just delivered 4 of different manholes that we utilize throughout the system to Union Sanitary District, and they actually mount them in a simulator and pump metered water through those through the manholes so that we can actually get pictured estimates on what it looks like for 10 gallons, 5 gallons, 200 gallons. So when staff roll up to, if hopefully don't roll up to an SSO, but if they do, there can be laminated cards so they can actually simulate or look at the simulation and kind of better gauge what our overflows are. We've done a couple tests in the past and learned from that staff were actually overestimating some of the flow. And we think this will be a really good tool throughout the district. Like Steve said, we worked on Calumet Avenue with the fold and form liner project. That was a real busy week for everybody. And we are actually kicking off, one last thing is we're kicking off another cost recovery program with the city of Larkspur. We started videoing some of their storm drains and actually utilizing their mapping system and overlaying that over ours to assist engineering and for future projects, and then also to look for defects to see if there's any intrusion or exfiltration coming in or out of our pipes at those crossroads. So we believe these overlay maps will really help us in the future, verifying flows and hopefully stopping I&I. So that's a brief overview. There's a lot more in there. I could keep rambling on, but those are some of the big highlights for you for this month.
Thank you very much.
Even if it's okay, I might like to suggest, since it's a living document in the business plan, maybe next month, we might add a line about the SCADA systems monitoring through CMSA and add that because that's so very, very important. And I'd love to see that tracked to see all the other ones getting in there. So maybe we add that one.
Yeah, that was we actually kind of checked the box on that one last year, but I mean, but it's, you know, Paul's doing the final on that, you know. What he's talking about is like the smaller lift stations.
Absolutely.
But we actually in February got the major lift stations into Ignition software, and so we kind of checked that box. But we're going to really we could put something in the business plan that we're going to kind of expand it to the smaller lift stations, and we do want to get it on everybody's phone so that, you know, on calls. It is on call phones already.
Yes.
So great suggestion, Michael. But I actually, this is one of those things we already got done.
Thank you. Well, I just thought we could put it on there and mark it off.
It was good.
John?
You know, I have a question. We have lift stations 20, 21, 22, 23, 31, 32. I thought we had 19 total pump stations. Why do we number them into the 30s? Anybody?
Glad you asked that question. They're kind of grouped. I can only kind of hindcast why, but anything with a 1 in front is a major. So 10, 12, 13, 14, 15. No more 11 because that's San Quentin. And CMSA runs that one now. Mm-hmm. The 2s appeared to be minor lift stations north of Corte Madera Creek. And the 3s are minor lift stations south of Corte Madera Creek that are in the former Larkspur sanitation area.
Oh, okay. Huh.
And but you know, it's not completely true because, you know, the Riviera Circle was in the Ross Valley, you know, anyway. So but yeah, you look at Corte Madera Creek and it's a dividing line. So in the event that we do annex San Quentin, what number should we give that new pump station,
40.
And thank you. I believe that's the right number. It's 40 because it's now, it has the prefix. It's in a new area of the district. And so that would be pump station 40. I agree.
Yeah. All right. Tom, anything else?
No,
It would be our 20th if we annex that. So we'd have to change all our fact sheets. We'd have to say we have 20 pump stations, not 19.
Michael?
No, everything is good. Thank you.
Mary?
No,
Nothing. Pam?
I want to thank Paul for these very complete and interesting reports. I feel like I understand the district much more. And they're pretty amazing. There's a whole new language here.
Thank you, Pam.
But,
I really appreciate that.
You should write a book or do a podcast or something. Very nice, Paul. Thank
Thank
you.
Yeah, Paul doing a great job. There is new language in there, Director Meggs. I mean, now you see what we call manholes, right? Or nodes, because they can be rod holes too. And you see the numbering system. And the letter in those numbers refers to the city or unincorporated area. So if it's a W, it's Kent Woodlands with for W. If it's a K, it's Kentfield. So yeah, there's a method to the madness.
Yeah. The other thing I saw in here was about the radio antennas. That's a whole nother thing there that I didn't know existed. And it has to do integrating with CMSA at each station. So sounds like we're interconnected on this SCADA system through CMSA. Is that right?
Yeah, that's correct. They host the monitoring because they're already running a big SCADA system that monitors the treatment plant. So we're just adding on to the side. And it's really cost effective working with someone else instead of having an integrator come in and build a whole new system. And Tawamis and the folks over at CMSA have got a pretty good system over there, and I think it's going to work out really well.
Yeah, so that's a new thing for me.
Okay. Anything else, Pam? That's no. You just turned off. Okay. Thank you very much. It was my pleasure to serve as board president this year. With this, I'm going to adjourn the meeting. Our next regular meeting is August 17th, 2022 at 5 p.m.